Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we are going to be having a little look at some of the preparations that we've got to do here in this cattle shed for cattle coming in. It's the newest of the cattle sheds. We built this a couple of years back and yeah, we just have a few jobs to do in it. It's that time of the year, we're coming into the end of August and let's face it, we possibly may have cattle in 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time, depending on how the weather goes. If the weather turns really bad, we could end up cattle in fairly early. So you always have to have this in the back of your mind and be kind of ready for it if such a situation does occur. Yeah, so a few jobs to do. The likes of the diet feeder, the one we've been using over the past number of years, a little bit of wear on the belly of it and around the door. So we've a bit of strengthening up to do on that, and we washed the whole feeder down just kind of in preparation for it going and getting a bit of work done to it. So yeah, been at that over the last day or so. Also then this shed, it was washed back, I suppose you could say early summer time, around that kind of time. So it's basically all washed. There's a little bit of dicking to do on it. We put the planks are all back in now, and there is a bit of washing just to do on them, but that's fairly simple. A couple of hours will wash all them down. Well, a lot of them are washed, but there's just some of them here that needs a little bit of a touch of the power hose, and just wash out the feeding boxes. But basically the rest of the shed is more or less ready. We have a light that is blown down with all the wind over the last few days. But yeah, look, very little to be done to it. We had a little bit of a job to do here just around the drink up, because we've had an issue with it over the last few years since we put the drinkers in here in the shed. And the issue is cattle manuring into the drinkers, so basically dunging into the drinkers, and we have a constant job then having to clean them out. The drinkers are from Condon Engineering, and in fairness to the guys in Condon Engineering, we said it to them at the time, and they did offer to replace these rump rails with ones that come out 5 or 6 inches wider. But we didn't go for that because we did see a bit of an issue with it. If the rump rail was out further and there was a larger gap here, possibly we might have an animal's hoof, foot, going down along here if it happened to be jumping up on another animal, and you could end up with an animal maybe with a broken leg, shoulder issues, and basically have to put the animal down because well, something like that happens. There's nothing you can do with them. So yeah, we came up with a different solution. A few years ago back in the States, we seen a very simple idea where you put in a concrete slab underneath the drinker, comes out about 8 inches, 10 inches from the drinker on each side, and it stops the animal from backing up into that. So that's what we've done. So we'll go across to the other side and we'll have a little look at the job we've done over there today. Yeah, so here we are now on the other side, and you can see we have the slab in already. Fairly simple to put it in. What we've done was, just to give it a bit of strength, we drilled 6 holes, 3 on each side here, a bit of rebar down into it. They're drilled down probably about 4 to 5 inches into the slat. So it will just give it a bit of strength that it'll not move if cattle do start messing or a bit of pushing starts going on. But it's a very big square of concrete. There's about, say, close to 3/4 of a metre of concrete in it almost. So yeah, look, it's not going to go anywhere. And it should work. Seems to work well enough. You can see past the rump rail it's out about 6 inches or so, maybe a little bit more than that, and it shouldn't be too far out. It should be able to, once the timber frame is taken away, should be just enough that cattle can come in. The front feet or toes, once they stand fairly close to it, they'll be able to reach in, get a drink. But if they turn around and go to reverse in, they can't step back up on a step. So once their feet touches it, it should be far enough that unless they cough mid-manure, it shouldn't make it into it. It should just drop down and hit the rump bar and probably down onto the slab itself. So yeah, fairly simple. This gate here didn't get as good a wash as you can see as the far one. There's plenty of dung still on it, but we'll have to address that during the week as well. So yeah, that's it. It's fairly simple. It's hopefully going to be effective. We'll know once we've the cattle in a week or so how effective it is. So we'll see and we'll report back on that once we know. We will do the other side now as well. We'll do that early in the week and just have those two things done, get the shed washed out, and then that'll be that finished. We have to wash the other cattle shed as well, and that's going to have to be done this week too, so we'll see how we get on. So that's basically what's going on here in the yard. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to get the drone out, I'm going to fly it down, fly it over the cattle, and we'll have a little look and a talk about the cows and calves and how they're doing. Yeah, basically just have a quick look at them. If I go into the field myself, they'll all flock around me and I'll get bad footage of them. Fly the drone down over them, I'll drop the drone down, and I should be able to get a bit of footage without them running too far away. So let's see how we get on. Okay, so let's get going at this. We have two batches to look at. The first batch we're going to look at now is the ones that are around the yard here, if you like. There's 19 calves, 18 cows and a Limousin bull in this batch. This is the odd calf out. His mother died soon after, well, about 5 weeks after he was born. So we ended up bottle feeding him a huge calf. His mother had been on the farm for quite a while. She went lame. She eventually then she couldn't get up, so unfortunately she had to be put down. I think she was about 12 years old. So it was sad to see her. Sad to see her leaving the farm after such a long time. She always had great calves. But yeah, some lovely cows, some lovely calves in this here. You can see there's a couple of Charlies here just flying over them. They were heifers we kept on from our own herd, and they're breeding some really nice calves. Bit of a mixed batch. We have Charlies, we have Herefords, and we have Limousins all mixed in here. And you see a white-eyed cow there with horns just looking up. She's one of the older cows, as is this black with the horns also. She's one of the older ones. And then we have some younger ones here. There's a Charlie heifer we're just going over, and then there's two more Charlie heifers to the right of that. You'll see them there. The black cow there you see with her calf, she's kind of walking away from the drone. She's actually a cow and calf we purchased in onto the farm a few weeks ago. So yeah, she was already calved, and she was smashing calf, and yeah, it was kind of to replace the cow that we lost. So yeah, that's her replacement. She's a young first time calver. So yeah, some really nice calves in this. You can see the bull there himself. He's a 5-star bull. He produces lovely calf, not too big when born, which is what you want, so not much calving difficulty, but fairly rapid growth then after that. The calves do very well, and they're very quick to get onto their feet, which is also very important. This field here now is just a long narrow field. There's about 4 acres in it. The cows are well on with eating of it, and yeah, I'm just flying back down to the bottom of it here now before heading on to batch number 2. So on to batch number 2, and we're just flying in over. There's 2 fields here at the front that the cows grazed. They're moved off it now roughly about a week. So yeah, they're now in the fields 3 and 4 on this piece of land, and you'll see as we fly over the ditch, this piece of land is covered in docks, absolutely covered in docks. Cows grazed here earlier in the year. Then we had our dry spell, the drought that went on for about 11 weeks, and we run out of grass here, so all the cows ended up having to come home around the end. That was around the end of May, early June, around that time, and they were at home then for about 7 weeks. So in that time we started to get some rain again. The grass in here then began to grow, and we ate up whatever grass that we had at home. We dosed the cows so they were done for worms. We got the cows scanned as well before they come back down here. We had 30 cows to scan in total, and all 30 were in calf, which is fantastic because if you remember back to last year, the Charlie bull that is running with this batch of cows was classed as infertile. Now then this year we had 20, I think it was 23 or 4 calves out of them, so it kind of turned the infertility accusation against the bull on its head, and he got back with these cows again along with the younger bull, the younger Charlie bull. So both bulls run with the cows, and all 30 cows are in calf, so great result on that front. But yeah, back to the docks. By the time the cows came back down, fields of Strident docks and ragwort. Now, we've never had much of a ragwort issue on the farm. Now, some of the surrounding fields would have some ragwort in them, and we reckon that the seed blew in from those, and yeah, so it's an issue once that happened. So we spent 2 evenings going around, and we pulled all the ragweeds and tidied it up. Now we're going to have to address the docks. We'll wait until the cows have this more or less let down. We're going to have to top it, cut the docks, see if they grow back. We'll maybe spray them towards the end of the year, and then keep a tight eye on it, then next springtime and do them again. So it's a never-ending spraying journey. But yeah, cows and calves are doing extremely well. Very happy with their progress, and we will have them in a few weeks' time. They'll be due to get dosed again, and when that happens, we'll get some video footage of them. They can be a bit awkward sometimes, but it should make for some good viewing. So that is it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed the little look back at the cows and calves. Yeah, until later in the week, don't forget to hit the sub button, leave a like in the video, comment down below. I will see you then. Take it easy.